You should carry a 1911, and here's why. So buckle up. Welcome back to the LocaCarnivore. Glad you could join us. Like I said, we're talking today about why you should carry a 1911. It's a really good pistol, and we're going to take you through all the reasons why you should. We'll give you the number one reason at the end of the video, so make sure you stay with us. Don't forget to give us a big like, thumbs up. That helps the video and the channel more than you could possibly imagine. Don't forget to subscribe. We'd love to have you as a member of the LocaCarnivore team. Ring the notification bell so you'll find out about all our new videos. Okay, why should you carry a 1911 as opposed to a striker fired or a revolver, all the millions of different choices out there in the carry gun market these days? And don't think this is just a big sop for all the 1911 fanboys out there. And you can see one right there. They are out there, believe me, and every time I do a 1911 video, they let me know that they are out there. This isn't necessarily just for them. This is for people who are considering why they should carry the 1911 as opposed to another pistol. Now we have a more in-depth video that we did a while back, links down in the description there, and that's what I wish I knew before I bought a 1911, and that covers a lot of the warts and stuff and the things you really do need to know. But let's talk about, you've already maybe decided on the 1911, why should you carry the 1911? First and foremost, a 1911 is a solid gun. This one is all steel, 39 ounces worth of gun. Or you could go with one of the aluminum frame Commanders, something like this. And this is a little lighter, but they're about 30 some odd ounces, give or take, so you lose about 9 ounces or so. So they're a little more carryable. But we're going to talk, either one is good for you, but we're just going to talk 1911 in general. And what do I mean by a solid gun? It's a solid gun. It's very well thought out. It has been around forever. So if you get a modern produced one, it's going to have most of the little 1911 isms, as I like to call them, already worked out. People know this gun. Now, why should you carry one though? Well, like I said, it's robust, so that means it's going to be, with proper maintenance, a reliable gun. One of the big advantages of having a full-size gun like this, you can get a proper firing grip on this beast, a full grip. You don't have to worry about your little finger wrapping around under the bottom of the thing or something like that. And it's just a good, solid grip. That translates into improved marksmanship, because handgun shooting starts first and foremost, most people say, with the grip. If you've got a good grip and it's lined up properly with your arm and everything, that's 80–90% of the job right there. And then of course you can line up the sights. The longer barrel gives you a longer sight radius. Now what does a long sight radius do for you? Well, it doesn't necessarily make the gun easier to aim per se, but what it means is that a small deviation in the sight, like if you're looking out the sights and you get that front sight just a little bit off in the notch one way or the other, that's a smaller angle than with a shorter barrel with a shorter line of sight radius, and that means you'll have a smaller deviation, a smaller angle out to the target. Another reason why the 1911 is such a good carry gun, why you should carry a 1911, is a single stack. As you can see, the rounds are in line, one on top of the other. They're not ziggy-zaggy like a double stack magazine. So that translates into a very thin grip profile. And what that means is that most people can get their hands on the grip, centered up with the gun centered down their wrist and aligned with their forearm bones, as opposed to double stack magazines. In a lot of cases, those guns don't line up properly in people's hands, especially if you've got slightly smaller than hands. Even average size hands can be a challenge with the double stack. So the single stack is a big advantage in that regard. The other thing about the single stack is it makes the overall gun quite thin. It makes the grips so thin, and you can see that compared to the Glock 19 right next to it. And the Glock 19 is not an overly large pistol, it's sort of a mid-sized pistol, but you can see how much narrower that is. As a carry gun, it makes the gun so much more concealable, so much easier to conceal. The likelihood that this gun will print if you have the right angle in your holster is minimal. You can carry it under summer clothing. In fact, we have a video on how to carry a full-size handgun in the summer. We'll put the link down in the description for that as well. And we mentioned the weight of the gun. That does have some advantages. And another advantage there is out there is our website, LocaCarnivore.com. Links down in the description. Go on over there. Great content. Plus you can get the merchandise. Support us. Appreciate that. The weight of the gun, though, helps dampen the recoil. And yeah, polymer frames, they're reputed, they do have some flex to them and they do help absorb some recoil. So there is that for the polymer guns. Remember, you're carrying it in case you have to use it, and if you do have to use it in an emergency, how it shoots will be far more important than how heavy it was to carry around. And these heavy guns help stay on target. While we're on the subject of the weight of this thing, the big advantage of an all-steel gun, or at least an all-metal gun in my opinion, and especially an all-steel full-size gun like this, if you're having a real bad day and you're down to having a knockdown, drag-out fight with somebody that still is up and trying to hurt you, and you're out of ammo, but it's at arm's length, this thing makes a superb impact weapon. It is far better than a polymer gun it will ever be. You whack somebody in the noggin with one of these, they're not going to want to play with you anymore, trust me. Here's a really big advantage of carrying at 1911, and that is the safety mechanisms. You have the grip safety, of course, and then you have the thumb safety. And the thumb safety, coupled with that single action trigger, enables you to carry the gun cocked and locked with a round in the chamber. This gun's inert, it's been checked. Round in the chamber, hammer back, and the thumb safety engaged. And what that does for you is when you're ready to actually fire the gun, when you flick the safety off, you get that nice, crisp, single action trigger pull. It's just very easy and very crisp. You don't want to dry fire 1911s if you can help it. It's the one downside about them. Don't do a lot of dry firing in your 1911s unless you have like a snap cap or something in there to cushion the firing pin, because the overall gun is not designed for that. But when you have the gun cocked and locked, the other big advantage here is this is strange territory for a lot of people nowadays. Back in the day when I grew up and stuff, people understood 1911s. They were very prevalent. You had basically a choice of a 1911 or something really offbeat, like a Model 39 Smith & Wesson or something, or a revolver. And the 1911s were understood. People understood how to use them and stuff. Nowadays, most people have grown up with polymer striker guns, and they don't have a clue how this gun works. Despite all the videos out there on YouTube on how to work these guns and everything, they're not, your average perp is not really well versed in this gun typically. And that could be a lifesaver if the gun is taken away from you in a fight, because they may not understand that they need to get that safety off. And I'll tell you a quick little anecdote. I was in a gun store one time and they had an inert 1911 mock-up on the counter just to give people something to do and fiddle with while they were waiting their turn to be served at the counter. And I watched one individual pick the thing up, and no matter what they did, first off, this individual, they started pushing on the trigger and nothing would happen. And then they were like, pushed the hammer to see why that wouldn't go. And then they held the trigger back and pushed the hammer. And then they sit there and fiddled with the grip safety and all that. The guy fiddled with the thing for 5 minutes, easy 5 minutes, and never once took the thumb safety out of engagement. And finally, in basically frustration and disgust, he just put the thing back on the counter and walked off because he couldn't figure it out. He couldn't find the on switch for the gun, how to turn the gun on and make it work. And that could be a big help if the gun were to be taken away from you. A lot of people just won't know how to work it. And by the way, help us out at this channel here if you wouldn't mind. We do have a Patreon. Love to have your support. Links down in the description. Thank you so much for that. And don't forget to share the video. The 1911 is, in my opinion, one of the most comfortable guns to carry for inside the waistband carry. Now, it's a little long, so you people using appendix carry, what I call vasectomy carry, you can skip this part of the video. But for the rest of us that keep the gun in a proper safe location that's not going to inadvertently hurt yourself, it is a good design. And the reason is, it is such a thin slide, but on top of that, and I'll show you here when it's right up next to the Glock, you can see the slide has that curve, that radius along the top, and that increases your inside the waistband comfort so much compared to like a Glock or most of the striker fire guns that are very squared off on the slide. Hey, let me know down in the comments what you think about carrying a 1911 as an EDC gun. We went through all the little things that make the 1911 a good carry gun, why you should carry one. I mean, we talked about the longer sight radius, the weight advantages, the safety advantages with all the safety features, plus the idea that if the gun is taken away from you, it might be safer than a standard striker type gun or revolver, and the single stack grip configuration, the overall thinness, the ease of carry and inside the waistband. Touched on all those items. After you put all those aside, what's the one thing that makes the 1911 such a great carry gun? Simple. It's so darn cool. I mean, who doesn't like a 1911? It's the coolest darn gun you could ever imagine. Plus, you take this thing out, people are going to respect you right off the bat because this thing's big. If it's a 45, it's got a big hole in that muzzle, and that gets people's attention like you wouldn't believe. So it's just a cool gun. There's no reason not to carry a 1911. There you go. All the reasons to carry a 1911 or why you should carry a 1911. Want to thank you for spending your valuable time here with us at the LocaCarnivore. Do appreciate it. And remember, the ultimate act of resistance is insisting upon facts. See you next time.